We made a promise this world would never blind us. All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:31. It is 11:28. It is Friday. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully your turkey was crisp on the outside, moist on the inside. If you're fried it, you didn't burn down the house. I usually just eat the turkey when I'm carving with my dad, and then usually by the time you sit down, the turkey's over there, and you got to bring in the stuffing and the mashed potatoes because I feel like I only eat stuffing and mashed potato once a year. So anyway, with that being said, it was a good day. The boys played a little flag football, Mrs. Cure. Nobody got hurt, so nobody got hurt. Turkey came out good, and didn't drink too much wine, so success. How'd everyone's Thanksgiving go? Good morning, BP. Good morning, Gary. What up, Tim Haggerty? We got Jack in the house, Jay Rice, rise and shine, work off that turkey. I already did my workout. I did my 20 at 520. Unfortunately, we don't do that on Fridays, and we don't really do Pound 630 Club on Fridays, but I figured, hey, it's the holiday. Let me do it. I'm actually considering doing 630 clubs on Fridays moving forward if you subscribe to the Red Dog Mindset above. Red Dog Mindset, is the new business that I built to try and help traders and help people around the world work on their morning process, work on their routine, get their mind right so they can execute on the X's and O's. But anyway, usually just Monday through Thursday, the 630 Club's been here since 2020, and I'm willing to add a Friday if everybody gives a little. So if you want to subscribe above, cool. If not, I get it. As far as the markets and everything, futures, I know I think the CME is closed, but if you take a look, markets still be in the markets without it. SPYs are up $1.90. What a week, guys. What a week, real good lesson here. A good lesson in flexibility, a good lesson in knowing your levels, a good lesson in having multiple stocks that trigger that you rotate through, just a good lesson of having endurance. I know the market's been tough. October was really tough. We lost a lot. I lost a lot of money in October trying things, and things were, and I did things pretty responsibly. And then finally, you had, this big wide range bar, which was huge. This was a tough day. A lot of people didn't see it coming and were buying and buying and buying and kind of got stopped out. Maybe they didn't use their sell rules or whatever it is they didn't do. And then after this day, it felt like the entire world got really, really bearish. Said, hey, there's no way we're going to do this again and rebuild, like we did on October 10th. And P.S., what happened? This is what happened. I posted the video. You should watch the Red Dog reversal video from Redler Ultimate, that Redler Ultimate Access weekend. It's like 65 minutes. It's a really good lesson, and it goes through the test of time. So anyway, right here, this was the low from that Thursday. So 1 week ago, Friday, 1 week ago, went below, which was this was your low, right? 651.89. So let's do a little exercise here. That was the pivot. That's all you knew. Either you get below and stay below and see downside for this week, or you get below, you reclaim it, you cover some shorts, you look for some good names that you want to play, and you adjust. And that's what happened last Friday. And then from there, it wasn't a feeble bounce. If you use retracement rules, it didn't just get contained at the third area or the 50% retracement. All of a sudden it took out Friday's high at 680, 664, and showed you some decent power, reclaimed the moving averages, and then gave you away on that little dip to hold and buy. So there was lots of ways to maneuver, lots of ways to make money. And for me, I had a pretty good week, so I'm excited about it. I needed it. All I wanted to do is be consistent, stack some wins. And I stacked, this is day 5. It's not over. Stack 5 days in a row. I don't have a whole lot of everything on. You can see here, the options aren't up yet, but this is the alpha team. These are my dogs. These are who I trade with. Feel like I went with the SPYs and the Qs early, and then I feel like I've been in Tesla now since like 407. It's 427. Microsoft, we bought it on Thursday before the reversal. Apple, I've been trying to be in. We had that one move to 280, wasn't great. put on Ethereum and IBIT on Tuesday before Wednesday's big push. Rivian and QS are little baby ones, and then I have some options that haven't come yet. So we participated, 7 longs or so throughout the course of the week. You don't need 100 longs. You don't need 50 longs. You just need something to participate with. Remember, we had Meta. Meta's off of here. That was a good trade. Anyway, with that being said, here we are today. So what would I do today? I've already trimmed a little Microsoft. Microsoft's giving you a little bit of follow through. And I'm going to trim. And I might, not that I think the market's going to go lower, but maybe you go and for Tuesday, you buy like the 675 puts just to have on for next Tuesday in case from 651 to 681, that's 30 points in the SPYs. The oscillator was minus 72 here, and now we're plus 40. So perhaps, even if it's just a retracement, I'm not saying, it's a bullshit low volume. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, into this area, if you want, even if you could just say you have a big portfolio too, like not even your 401k, more like an IRA or whatever, and you want to put some hedges on, it's not a bad idea. But anyway, I would trim into this spot. I'm short. What I've been doing is I've been shorting SPYs 2-3 points above, selling some premium as a hedge, and I'll do that today. I'll probably sell on the open the 683 calls naked for today, not for Monday, for today. To kind of play the range where maybe I get like 80 cents, and if it doesn't get above it, I keep it, and I manage everything else. But anyway, what's up, Space Specialist? We got Mom Money. Good morning to you. What is Danielle Marcus saying? Good morning. Miss you and the Alpha team. I've been a while, but I'm still around. Thank you for everything you've done to mentor me. I guess, yeah. And I hate it, the fact that it's been a tough, as good as this year's been, sometimes you get into a rut, or you don't make what you need to make to pay your bills, and you don't last as a prop trader. It's not easy. There's no health insurance, there's no guarantee. It's monthly, quarterly, yearly. That's why when you have a really good month or quarter, you better sock some money away. You better pay down your bills on some months when it's a little tougher. So with that said, that's the SPYs. Here are the Qs. Qs also had a really nice move, very similar, very, very similar, right? You had a red dog reversal around 584.75 right here. That was your start. That was your, hey, no real follow through. Even though this made a lower low here, it didn't matter. Then you had some power here too, where it took back the moving averages. And not only did it take them back and push through and penetrate, then it held them. And now all of a sudden, the Qs are opening above, what is this, 616.19. Wow. So it went right through that zone. So this is 616.19. I like to be perfect. 616.19 right here. And, the Qs are probably up a bunch this morning too, with the SPYs up 266. So it's a big move, just like that. Anyway, with that being said, I wouldn't be buying the SPYs or the Qs. Maybe you could hedge with those. There could be some names that still work today, that are still, moving along. So someone asked me about Tesla. Tesla's okay. It wasn't a great week. It wasn't the easiest week with Tesla. But again, if you remember, I was buying Tesla above 403. I bought the dip a few times, and I, put some options on. We'll see. It would be good if it can get above 429. There's really nothing up until 442. That would be good, but we'll see. What's Tesla doing this morning? It's only up $1.84, but it's, that's a nice trade. This was a nice methodical week for Tesla. It didn't lead, wasn't explosive, but there was money there. I'm going to trim some stock and maybe go out with some options for next week. That was cool. For those of you who tuned into, the 630 Club earlier in the week, I was focusing on Meta, and Meta was a nice trade. Meta, it's been broken. Big hole in the chart since earnings. But guess what? Right here was holding 581. This is where I was buying it. I was cheating a little bit. I was buying 598 because I just felt it. Sometimes your inner voice tells you what to do. So this was awesome. And I got out of it around 630. What's Meta doing this morning? Up 4. Nice. So if you bought, I remember Mike was complaining that it went from green to red on, what was it, on Wednesday. I'm like, it just went from 602 to 637. Have some perspective. Meanwhile, Here you are at 637. This could work its way to 670-ish. So far acting better. I took that trade. I just wanted to show I could take a trade like where I buy it, and sell it and make 18 points. Microsoft, I'm still in. Microsoft actually was really a really good trade. I actually put it on as a power play options when it was down here. Started buying, I'm like, Mike, let's do power play options. And anyway, it did have a decent move, hit its high of 488. This was resistance. First time in a while I've made some decent money in Microsoft. Just as like a retracement trade. It wasn't so special, but did a little red dog reversals coming up. So Microsoft is giving you a decent move this morning. This is where it broke down from. So this is kind of where I think it can go. I still have some options on, some stock on. So Microsoft's pretty cool. Apple's been a little bit of a pain, to be honest. No real power. It gave us that one trade to 280 on what day was that? I think that was maybe Tuesday, whatever day it was. I was long it anyway and kind of went and took the trade. I'm still in some stock, and I think it's going to extend, but that wasn't great. Microsoft, Google dropped lawsuit against Microsoft this AM in the EU. Oh, that's good. You reposted this stream. I appreciate your space. So Apple's been good. Google took a little time off. Google, why not? Google's had a huge move. Sold strength 328. Where did it touch on Wednesday? It touched 316.79. It's letting the moving averages catch up, so you can't be so upset about that, right? Anyway, so let the moving averages catch up. What's it doing this morning? Google is still hanging in there. Can't be so upset. Just wasn't where the action was on Wednesday. Google's been great. IBIT gave you a trade. If you guys remember, I was, I bought it here, and then it was a little out of play, and everyone's like, Red Dog, it's lagging. I'm like, well, I'm going to give it to 48.30. I'm going to give it to this spot. I'm not going to overtrade this. I think it could still have a decent bounce through the holiday, et cetera, et cetera. Not like a turkey trot go nuts, but a nice calculated play. And, then all of a sudden, yes, on Wednesday, I don't remember where I was. I think I was getting a haircut. And people are like, Red Dog, IBIT exploded with Ethereum. I'm like, see, you put your stop in the right place. This was my stop, and you could be off the desk and make money. It's not about the money with the stop. It's more about why are you in the trade? Did the reason change? And I was in it versus low and didn't change, and wanted to make me some good money and probably has some room up to the 21 day and still be broken, but it's a trade. Ethereum's not as great. Somebody called Tom Lee. No, I'm kidding. I've been busting his chops lately ever since he said, "Oh, Ethereum's down because of a computer glitch." So anyway, this too, I was long in here versus this spot, and and it did pretty well. So anyway, that's just a trade. Jay Rice is saying CRWD, some poor reactions to earnings in cyberspace. That's true. When there's poor reactions, you want to make sure you're not there. Caterpillar. I haven't looked at Caterpillar in a while. I'll look at that with you. Ooh, that's a nice setup. Nice upper pennant, upper flag, held in here, going sideways. Looks like I just trimmed some Microsoft into strength. This looks pretty good. You know what? Some guys were telling me that they think there's going to be this big silver super squeeze next week, that China is super short and they're calling it in and this and that. So someone's like, why did I buy silver up here? I just bought some options for next week. It's a nice chart for silver. Came up into this area, consolidated since October. So you're talking over a month up here. And from what I've heard, there's a few different countries short this, and they have to buy in. So maybe there'll be that fun, silly move next week. That's why I bought some silver calls. Just people ask. I'm just letting you know why. To be honest, I don't care what Burry's doing. Okay. I feel like guys like that made money back in the day, they can get people in trouble with their conviction. I know that, he's been short Palantir and NVIDIA all fucking year, excuse my French. So if you were a trader and shorting NVIDIA all year, how'd you do? Yes, it just pulled in a little bit. And yes, Palantir just pulled in a little bit. But if you've been shorting it and you don't have the pain tolerance of a billionaire, chances are, you're not going to ever make any money with a guy like that. You need to make money with people who frame trades for you that could measure your risk and give you a scenario so you could stay with it. But anyway, Everyone has their own thing. So Palantir, little bounce here, this 147 was good. Remember this is when it came out with good earnings, good guidance, and it went lower, showing that everything was priced in. So with that being said, it's coming about. It's giving you a little bit of a rally here. So Palantir up $1.20, not leading, but also not a headwind. Same thing with Nvidia. Nvidia is not leading, but it's not a headwind. You get the SPYs and the Qs up $2, and Nvidia is only up 20 cents. So you got to move on. Felix says whatever. Okay, what's your big play this week, Felix? Let's hear. With people who do it for a living. I love Coop. Anyway, so what else? IWM has led the way. Really impressive. Look at that move. Wow. Just like that, right back to highs. Took back the moving averages here. Big potent day to get rid of that day. Somebody's like, why am I in QS? Some guys on my side really love this. They think there's like 8 or 9 OEMs that have signed up that haven't come out in news yet. We played this from 8 to 19 when it was above the moving averages. So it has to rebuild. It's not a big trade, just something that I feel comfortable with, that if it did come out in news, maybe you could see 13-ish. ASTS isn't awesome at all. If anything, it's lagging. They're not ready for names like this. But we played it here. Got out with remember the Red Dog reversal buy last Friday in the Qs and the SPYs. Well, you also have Red Dog reversal sells. And look at this one. Got above 99.13 twice, pushed to 102, came back down, took out a prior low. That candle says run like hell. Let me say that again. Run like hell, especially after it already doubled. And since then, it's been sold on every bounce. Has some room here, but these type of things take some time. Amazon made me some money. Wasn't so horrible, but again, broken bounce. This wedge to the downside could have got you out and save you some money. I got out of my shares there. I lost money in some options, but then I did get back involved here, and I sold mine on Wednesday into 231. What's it doing today? It's probably up a little bit. It's up 2. You could have bought that back. I was going to buy it back. After 4 up days, I was just trying to be a little bit more careful. You're allowed to be careful. That's why today, day 5, I have day count rules that I post. Usually I like to be long day 1, add day 2, trim day 3, and then usually day 4 and 5, you're upset about how much risk you had on day 1, 2 that you don't have anymore on day 4, day 5. Or some people start a pain trade at day 4, day 5, thinking they could take the other side that kills them. So this day 5-ish always gets tricky because, everyone psychologically gets a little bit upset about what they had here, when it did the Red Dog reversal, or here versus higher. But anyway, RX, I haven't looked at RX in a long time. These little names have been crap. They're all, so yeah, it looks like everything else. Looks like you could have a little bit of a move. Even Poet, guys like, well, Red Dog, you lost money in Poet. I did lose money in Poet. Some guys just stayed with it because I said this is like a 3, 6, 9 month type of play. It's a concept play. It's a way to something with the grid. I can't even really explain it right now. All I know is that I got excited when these 2 big institutional guys bought it here. So I held that poorly. Some guys tripled down here. If you did, there's room up until about 520. But these type of names, they're not really showing the momentum that they did a quarter or 2 ago. But anyway, what are my thoughts on Oklo? Let's see. Just wow. This too, look at that Red Dog reversal up here. This is when a lot of guys were making really good money in it. It was above the 8-day, lots of momentum. And it's just kind of rebuilding down here. See, these things are not really, they're not the first ones that people go after on a new rally anyway. If we hang up here and we continue to trend a little bit in December, maybe some of these names will do a little bit better. Tilray, it's a piece of junk. Sorry. Anyway, CMG, I did give that one out. This was a January effect play. I gave it out a little early because it felt like it was ready to go. So instead of just putting it in my report that I always do, I'm like, I think you could buy CMG down here for January 15th. I was bidding for it. I missed it, but some guys are playing this. I think this. Someone said Cava. Yeah, like these restaurant names maybe could be good for between now and mid-January. Some people might continue to take some losses on there because there's not a lot of names that have been crushed for losses. So I think it's okay, but again, they just start to have a push. I did buy some ONON, but this is different. ONON on cloud, I still see the sneakers everywhere. You have a big gap up post earnings, just starting to perk up. Why can't this get to 45? This was 60s. It got killed with retail, but this is doing better. So anyway, with that said, it's 6:51. All right, it's Friday. It's been a very methodical week. 5 days to the upside. Hopefully you participated. The Alpha team, I think, is pretty happy. We stack days sometimes on a Monday. I'm like, let's stack some days. What does that mean? It means just make money every day and let it add up. We did it starting last Friday with the Red Dog reversal. I was risk down also. I wasn't sure what was going to happen after that Thursday, but went with the SPYs, went with the Qs, made some money. And then as the week progressed, I started putting on positions, and it's been a great week. So I'm happy. It's a good frame of mind. You always want to be in a good frame of mind right around the holidays so you can enjoy your friends and your family and have some fun. Still got some time. We still got a whole month ahead of us if you have Christmas parties, and do some fun things. What's useless information, Joseph? Let me hear. How about I block your tush? Anyway, we could do that too. Our app is looking super solid. Let's go. Maybe you should get a subscription to the Alpha team. It's not useless information. It's people that trade for a living and make a lot of money doing it. At times, this is a nice little move. There's some room in AppLovin. To me, this is a tough name. There's a lot of news, a lot of banter, little short reports, this and that. Anyway, so with that being said, there's room here. It's probably opening up a little bit, rebuilding. This was the last time I was really involved. I always leave the levels and the lines because you could always learn from what you did. But I've been away from this for a while. This and Reddit too. I feel like the market's been tough. Look at that reversal that day. But anyway, there's been things to do. So let's just keep doing them. Have some fun today. It's a short day. I'm going to be just pretty much trimming into this. I might put a little hedge on for next week. Not saying I think the market's going to fall apart, but after 5 up days, even if you get a small retracement, probably a decent spot to do that. But you don't have to be net short. Just if you took your hedges off and you were involved, this is day 5 up. Why not? All right, Marcus. Happy holidays to you. Anyway, all is well. Thanks for tuning in, and if you guys want, the 6:30 Club on Fridays in December, subscribe to the Red Dog Mindset, and you'll have them. If not, no big deal. I'll just do it Monday through Thursday like I've been doing since 2020. That's cool. All right, I'm going to go post my charts and hang out with the Alpha team, get ready to go, and make sure to make a little bit of money, book some gains, and we'll see what's next. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Want to hear a little bit of this little Bon Jovi radio? I took a walk down a road, it's the road I was meant to stay. By the way, this is Robinhood. Looks pretty good. Nice gap up. Crypto got stronger. My boy Spurls was all over this. Anyway, what I do in the morning is I sit, I do keep the lights off. I go through all my charts. I update the pivots. I put different lines in. I put some content on there. If this, if that, then that, and I post it. I do not need to have CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, anything on. I've already read my macro notes. I'm going through my charts, and I just want to listen to music, talk to the Alpha team, and have some fun. Don't wait for Tom Lee to come on or this or that. You know what you're doing. Make sure your process is strong and make sure you like it. You got to have a routine you love because you got to do it every day. And if not, I've seen people burn out. I've seen people, very talented individuals, not make it out there because they don't know how to relax and go through their work in a way that's fun, where they could do it day in, day out, day in, day out. Anyway, with that said, I'll see you guys later.